Libra, something unexpected is coming on December 16th. And it will touch your heart so deeply, you may cry not from pain, but from the overwhelming relief of finally being seen by the universe. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot. This is not just another general horoscope. It's a spiritually guided transmission that found you exactly when you were meant to receive it. Whether you clicked this video by instinct, curiosity, or a subtle pull you couldn't explain, please know, you did not arrive here by chance. Libra, you are the sign of balance, of beauty, of internal harmony. But beneath that graceful exterior, you've carried emotional weight no one else could see. Silent struggles. Unspoken prayers. Dreams you whispered into the dark, unsure if they'd ever echo back. December 16th marks more than a date on the calendar. It's a spiritual checkpoint, a cosmic moment when something hidden will be revealed, and something long delayed will finally begin to move. A message is coming. An invitation. A divine disruption. And though it may appear small at first, your soul will recognize it immediately. You may feel emotional. You may even cry. But those tears will be sacred. Not weakness, but breakthrough. Because something you've been waiting for, perhaps for years, is now aligning in the unseen. It's coming not because you forced it, but because you're finally ready to receive it with both hands and an open heart. This is a space for that kind of moment. Not just predictions, but transformation. Not just tarot, but truth. Now, before we go deeper, let me pause and say, thank you. I want to express my sincerest gratitude for your presence here. Every like, every comment you share, every subscriber who joins this journey adds light to this channel and helps us bring these sacred messages to more people like you. Your support doesn't just grow Zodiac Whisper Tarot, it anchors a community. A soul family. And whether this is your first time watching or your 100th, I want you to know, your energy matters here. You matter. So tell me, Libra, what brought you here today? Was it a dream last night? A repeating number on the clock? A feeling in your chest that today is different? Whatever it was, take a moment right now to confirm your alignment. Drop a comment below with a sacred number that came to your mind, maybe 7, 111, 22, or 888. Let it be your signature to the universe that says, I am listening. I am ready. I say yes. Because what we're about to unlock together isn't random. It's personal. It's destined. You'll want to stay with me until the very end of this message, Libra. The revelations in today's reading are not just timely, they are spiritually surgical. They are here to clear space, heal old cycles, and prepare you for the emotional abundance that's about to arrive like a tidal wave of grace. And who knows? This might be the message that finally helps you see, you were never behind. You were never forgotten. You were always chosen. Let's begin. Sometimes, we don't realize just how long we've been holding our breath until something reminds us that we're finally safe to exhale. That's the feeling that surrounds this moment in your journey, Libra. The cards that arrived today are not simply archetypes or predictions. They are mirrors, reflecting a divine rhythm already moving through your life. And what they reflect is a time of shift, a cosmic stirring, and a gentle nudge from the universe to stop running and start receiving. The star arrives first like a soft light at the edge of a long night. It doesn't demand anything from you, it invites you to rest. You've been pouring your love, your energy, your brilliance into things and people who could not fully receive it, not because you weren't enough, but because your light was too expansive for the small spaces you tried to fit into. The star comes to remind you that your worth isn't measured by output, loyalty, or even resilience. It's intrinsic. You are always radiant. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't pushing harder, it's allowing yourself to heal. And you don't need a reason to stop and breathe. You don't need to prove your worth through struggle anymore. The sacred is already within you. It always was. As the energy shifts, the wheel of fortune turns not with chaos, but with divine order. This isn't the kind of change you chase. It's the kind that chases you down because it's time. The alignment between Jupiter and Uranus on December 16th opens a gateway that few experience consciously, a breakthrough moment disguised as coincidence. A call that wasn't scheduled. An offer that seems random. A no that turns out to be a deeper yes. Fate is moving now, not as punishment or reward, but as realignment. You're not being pulled off course, you're being returned to it. There's something beautifully sacred about the idea that we don't always have to understand the map to arrive exactly where we're meant to be. And that's where the Eight of Cups enters, quiet but powerful. This card is often misunderstood as abandonment or loss, but in truth, it's an act of courage. It's walking away not in defeat, but in reverence. You're not leaving behind failures, you're releasing stories that no longer reflect your truth. Maybe you've been holding on out of obligation, out of fear, or out of hope that it might one day change. But your soul knows when it's time to set something down. And when you do, your hands become free to receive. In a fast-moving world that celebrates constant motion, we often forget the power of holy stillness. Letting go is not giving up its spiritual maturity. And the truth is, even blessings can become burdens when they've outlived their alignment. You may feel sadness, yes. That's natural. But you'll also feel something else, relief. The kind that comes when you realize you don't have to carry it all anymore. I want to gently remind you that you are not doing this alone. There are unseen forces walking with you. There are moments of divine intervention that don't make headlines but still move mountains behind the scenes. Maybe you've experienced one before, a delay that turned into protection, or a door that closed just before you saw the storm on the other side. That's not fantasy. That's grace. It works quietly, and it always arrives right on time. So if something inside you is whispering that it's time to loosen your grip, to step into the unknown, or to simply trust what's unfolding, listen. The energy of this moment was not built overnight. It's been waiting for you to meet it. And when you do, you'll see that this shift was never about loss. It was about creating space for what's finally ready to arrive. It often begins with something small, a vibration in your chest, a nudge to check your inbox, a number that repeats itself just a little too often. And then, without warning, something arrives. A message. A voice. A door you didn't expect to knock. What's important to understand, Libra, is that these moments are not accidents. They are orchestrated intersections between timing, preparation, and a universe that has been listening far longer than you've realized. What's coming into your field now may feel sudden, even shocking. But beneath that initial wave of surprise, there is grace. Not the kind of grace that is soft and distant, but the kind that rearranges things with purpose. A realignment. An unseen hand moving pieces into place. When this happens, it may not look how you pictured it. Sometimes, the blessing arrives wrapped in discomfort, in disruption, or even in a truth you weren't prepared to hear. But make no mistake, it's still a blessing. Perhaps it's someone from your past re-entering your life unexpectedly, carrying clarity you once begged for in silence. Perhaps it's a job or opportunity that shows up out of nowhere, even though you've already convinced yourself nothing would change this month. Or maybe it's a delayed no from the universe that turns out to be the very protection you didn't know you needed. In any case, the divine pattern is not broken, it's unfolding. From the lens of astrology, these events are deeply supported. With Jupiter aligning harmoniously with Uranus around this time, we're entering a rare energetic window where expansion meets disruption, where the things that once felt stuck suddenly begin to move. And while this planetary influence may appear external, its effect is deeply internal. It stretches your faith. It pulls on your willingness to trust. It invites you to see with your spirit, not just your eyes. As someone who's walked through many such moments on both sides of the shift, I want to gently say this: don't resist the form in which your answered prayer arrives. Sometimes, it doesn't come in beauty or comfort. It comes in clarity, in truth, in release. And yes, it may come in a wave of emotion so deep that it pulls tears from places you thought were dry. But those tears, they are sacred. They are water breaking over land that has been in drought for too long. And if you've been waiting for a sign that your time is near, that the things you whispered to the night sky were heard, this may be it. Because not every miracle is loud. Some enter like a whisper, like a text at 2:17 a.m., like a door swinging open when you least expect it. The important thing is not to overthink the shape it takes, but to be ready to receive what it carries. Even in a busy, chaotic world, I've seen quiet interventions transform lives, unexpected funding appearing at the very last moment, relationships healing after years of silence, housing situations shifting without explanation, new beginnings born from endings that once felt like punishment. These aren't just stories, theory reminders that provision doesn't always arrive early. But it always arrives on time. So Libra, when that surprising message finds you, because it will, pause. Feel your body. Notice the breath. Ask yourself, is this what I once prayed for in a different form? And if it is, let yourself say yes, even if your voice shakes. Because this moment isn't here to test you. It's here to free you. To show you that the universe has been building something behind the curtain of your waiting, and now, it's ready to be revealed. Some moments in life do not require effort, they simply ask for space. And Libra, after all the giving, striving, managing, and pushing, this is one of those moments that invites you to surrender, not because you're weak, but because something greater is ready to meet you when you stop resisting it. What you're stepping into now cannot be earned through control. It's unlocked through presence, softness, and a kind of sacred availability that comes when you create room in your life for something new to land. This is the nature of real alignment. It doesn't shout. It whispers. And often, it only arrives when the noise quiets down. That's why this part of the journey isn't about doing more, it's about allowing more. You see, manifestation isn't about manipulating outcomes. It's about matching your inner atmosphere to the thing you desire. That's why the practice of letting go is not a loss, it's preparation. You can't hold the new while clinging to what no longer resonates. One of the simplest yet most powerful ways to anchor that energy is through daily intention. Not through massive action, but small, conscious rituals that help you return to yourself. Color, for example, is more than aesthetics, its frequency. Blue invites clarity of expression and helps soften old emotional tension you may have been swallowing for far too long. Gold stimulates the field of visibility and abundance, reminding you that receiving isn't a luxury, it's a birthright. And white clears the psychic clutter, creating space for vision, not just reaction. When you surround yourself with these frequencies, whether by wearing them, lighting a candle in the morning, or simply visualizing them in your energy field, you're signaling to the universe, I'm ready to become a landing pad for something meaningful. Another practice that brings this process to life is journaling, it for perfection, but for truth. Drawing 2 columns, one for what you're releasing, and one for what you're ready to receive, creates not just mental clarity, but spiritual momentum. The act of writing is a way of speaking to the unseen. It makes the internal visible. It shows that you're not just hoping or choosing. And as you write, breathe. A few minutes of slow breathing in the morning, hand on heart, hand on your solar plexus, can realign your nervous system with incredible precision. This is not a performance. You're not doing it to be productive. You're doing it to remember that your body is a portal, not a machine. Speak gently to it. Say, I don't need to earn love by effort. I am already enough. I now allow the miracle that matches my truth. If you feel physically depleted, that's not failure, it's feedback. When the nervous system is overloaded, your ability to receive is reduced. This is why supportive tools like magnesium or B-complex vitamins can help restore equilibrium. They're not magic pills, but they are bridges, tools that help ground the spiritual into the practical. Likewise, movement, particularly walking outside, under the open sky, helps realign your physical body with the cosmic rhythms already influencing your chart. Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus is a planet of flow. When your body flows, your energy aligns. And when you align, blessings no longer feel out of reach. They feel inevitable. It's in the quiet, daily decisions, what you wear, what you breathe, what you choose to release, that the most miraculous changes begin. Not because you forced them, but because you finally became available to receive them. This is where power lives now, not in pushing harder, but in softening more. Not in trying to be worthy, but in remembering you already are. Sometimes the hardest part isn't knowing what to do, it's knowing when to stop doing. Libra, you've spent so much of your journey holding things together. Holding expectations. Holding space for others. Holding silence where you really wanted to speak. And while that strength has shaped you, it has also weighed you down. This next phase of your growth isn't about proving your endurance, it's about reclaiming your ease. The moment you choose to let go is the moment you remember who you were before you thought you had to carry so much. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean failure. It doesn't even always mean walking away. Sometimes it simply means loosening your grip on the version of you that needed to survive. Sometimes it means making peace with the fact that what helped you once may now be holding you back. And that's where the true magic of this moment lies, not in the drama of release, but in the quiet power of deciding to no longer compromise your truth for the sake of comfort. From an astrological standpoint, the energy around you is shifting in a way that supports this kind of brave surrender. With major alignments signaling completion and rebirth, This is a time when the cosmos is helping you close chapters with grace so new ones can begin with clarity. But you must take the first internal step. The stars can only illuminate the path. You're the one who has to choose to walk it. And I know, Libra, it can feel terrifying. You've invested so much of yourself in holding things together. But what if your next blessing is being delayed because your hands are too full? What if the thing you've been praying for can't find you because you haven't yet created the space for it to land? I've seen over and over again how breakthroughs often come after a moment of release. Like the client who, after finally stepping away from a relationship that drained her for years, found herself offered the job of her dreams just 1 week later. Or the friend who gave up trying to control the outcome of a legal matter and then unexpectedly received news that the case had resolved in her favor. These weren't coincidences. They were responses to a decision, to stop forcing, and to start trusting. This is where faith becomes practical. Whether you draw your strength from spiritual practice, scripture, or your own stillness, this is the season to reconnect with that inner compass. When we surrender with intention, not because we're defeated, but because we trust the flow of life, you allow divine timing to do what hustle cannot. You don't need to be in control to be safe. You don't need to have all the answers to be on the right path. You just need to be honest enough to say, I'm done carrying what no longer honors me. So if there's something you've been holding onto, a story, a commitment, a role, even just an old belief, ask yourself, lovingly, if it still reflects who you are now. Not who you were when you made the promise, but who you've become since. And if it doesn't, maybe the most courageous thing you can do this week is release it with kindness and without shame. The real transformation isn't in what you gain, it's in what you're finally willing to set down. And once you do, Libra, you'll find that what's meant for you doesn't have to be chased. It has just been waiting for room to enter. Let go not to lose, but to receive. Let go not to run, but to rise. Let go because your next chapter is too beautiful to carry old weight into it. There comes a moment in every soul's journey where the striving quiets, the proving ends, and what remains is something profoundly simple: return. Not return to a place, or a person, or a version of you that once was, but a return to essence. Libra, what you may have mistaken for feeling lost was actually the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And now, you are walking across that sacred bridge back to yourself. Back to the truest parts of your being that had to go silent for a while just to survive. But they're waking up now. And that is not something to fear, it's something to welcome. You don't need to have the roadmap figured out. You don't need to calculate every outcome, predict every step, or stay 3 moves ahead to be safe. The energy that surrounds you now is asking for your presence, not your performance. It's reminding you that the universe responds not to panic, but to trust. And when your internal posture shifts from, how do I control this, to, I'm willing to walk with faith, the entire landscape begins to open. Doors you didn't know existed become visible. Conversations unfold with uncanny timing. Resources arrive seemingly out of thin air. Not because you forced them, but because you stopped blocking them with fear. In astrology, this kind of shift is often marked by the return of the moon to a sign's solar house, a symbolic homecoming. But energetically, what matters most is not what the stars are doing, it's what you're willing to see differently. And right now, there's an invitation for you to stop resisting your own expansion. To stop questioning whether you're allowed to feel good, to rest, to receive, to be supported, to change. You've already done the work. Now comes the reward. But receiving that reward requires a new kind of openness, one that doesn't demand answers, but makes room for peace. This is the time to begin walking as if your prayer has already been answered. Not in arrogance, but in quiet alignment. To speak with gentleness to your own heart, to carry yourself with dignity, to choose spaces and people and energies that reflect your worth, not because you're trying to earn more, but because you've remembered what was always true. The blessings you seek are not behind you. They're not locked in someone else's hands. They're not conditional on perfection. They are already forming, already moving toward you. And your job now is simply to say yes. And if that feels hard, if a part of you is still bracing for the worst, still waiting for the other shoe to drop, that's okay. Be gentle with that part. Sometimes, we've been disappointed so many times that joy itself feels suspicious. But there are moments in life when we're given the grace to try again without having to justify why we deserve it. This is one of those moments. You don't need to carry the armor anymore. You just need to keep your heart soft enough to feel what's shifting. I've seen this happen time and time again in the lives of those who dared to loosen their grip, stories of people who stepped out without a net, only to find they could fly. One woman I worked with had been carrying the shame of a failed relationship for years. She thought she had to be healed before life could bless her. But the very week she chose to release that belief, she received a phone call offering her the leadership position she never thought she'd be considered for. Not because she became someone new, but because she finally returned to herself. Libra, you are doing the same. You are not waiting anymore. You are remembering. And with every breath, every soft yes, every step forward, your life is rearranging to match the version of you that has always existed beneath the noise. You don't need certainty to move. You only need a moment of courage, again and again. And when you do that, even the stars bend toward your direction. Because you are not lost. You are being guided. And you are finally, gloriously, coming home. Libra, if you've made it this far, let me gently remind you of something powerful. Not the one waiting for a miracle. You are the miracle the universe has been waiting for. And what if, just for a moment, you let yourself believe that? What if you stopped seeing yourself as someone hoping for light, and started seeing yourself as the one carrying it? Everything you've moved through, every closed door, every silent prayer, every tear you thought no one saw has not been wasted. It has been woven into a story of becoming. And right now, you're standing at the part of the story where the shift happens. Where everything begins to turn, not because someone finally chose you, but because you finally chose yourself. You don't need to be perfect to begin. You don't need to have it all figured out to be ready. You just need to take the first step and trust. Breathe that in for a moment. You don't need to see the whole staircase, you only need to lift your foot and trust that the step will appear. Isn't that what all real transformation asks of us? So as you return to your day, I invite you to pause, not to question whether you're worthy of this next chapter, but to ask yourself something far more powerful. What are you ready to stop carrying? What truth are you finally ready to admit? What part of you has been quietly waiting to be seen, and what would change if you let that part rise? And maybe even more important, what would happen if you started living like the blessings have already arrived? Because in so many ways, they have. The moment you decided to show up here to listen, to reflect, to feel something stir inside you, that was the moment the shift began. And now, Libra, the rest is about alignment. Daily action. Honest intention. Soft courage. These are not small things. They are the bricks of new timelines. So let's anchor this moment together. If your heart whispered yes at any point during this message, let it speak now. Repeat these words quietly or write them boldly in the comments below as your energetic signature. I choose freedom. I am ready for the storm of blessings on December 16th. This simple act is more than symbolic. It's an energetic agreement. A moment of saying, I'm not waiting for life to happen to me anymore. I'm walking toward it, eyes open, heart open, hands open. Thank you for being here with me today. Your presence isn't just appreciated, it's sacred. Every like, every comment, every subscription isn't just support for Zodiac Whisper Tarot, it's a ripple that carries these messages further, reaching others who may be quietly praying for the very confirmation you just received. You are part of something much bigger, and I hope you feel that. So Libra, don't rush away. Let the energy settle. Let your breath soften. Let yourself feel what's shifting, and when you're ready, meet life with your whole heart. You are not behind. You are not invisible. You are right on time. And I promise you, the light you've been searching for, it's already finding its way back to you. Stay with us. Because what's coming next? It's magic written just for you.